Okay, so hi guys, welcome to my channel. So today, as you can tell by the title, I'm gonna be telling my worst sneaky leaking experience. Okay, so when I say sneaky link, I mean someone that you sneak around with and have. So this is pretty recent actually. This happened in April. So, mind you, I'm just chilling one day, minding my business, you know, just being a girl. So I end up posting a picture of me on Snapchat. And if you don't know about layouts, it's kind of like photo collages that you can make on Instagram. You can put 2 pictures, 6 pictures, and I think there's 4 pictures, stuff like that. So mine was 4 pictures, 4 mirror pictures. So, sorry guys, I have allergies. Please excuse it. If you can't stand it, then just don't watch the video. But so I post that picture, and he ends up sliding up. I forgot what he said, but then I put like a question mark, and he was like, I ain't gonna lie, I like what I see. And I was like, LL, thank you. And so he ends up being like, how old are you, or something like that. And I was like 23. And he was like, oh, send me your number. So I sent it to him. We end up texting on iMessage, and we're just talking. I forgot what the fuck we were talking about. And so eventually he ends up asking me like, oh, where do you stay? And I told him like blank. And he was like, don't say that. And I was like, don't say that's too far, because every time I tell people where I live, they always say, oh, that's far. And he was like, oh, I live there too. So I was like, oh. And he was like, we should link up sometime. And I was like, for what? And he was like, to chill and shit. And I was like, okay, that's cool. When do you want to? And he was like, tonight if it's cool. And I was like, tonight? I was like, that's hella like tonight. So I was like, okay, cool. Mind you, I'm not thinking like, oh, we're gonna ooh, like, mind you, at the time I was a virgin, remember that. So I'm like, how I'm gonna get there? So he like, oh, I'm gonna Uber you here. And I was like, how am I get back home? He was like, I'm gonna Uber you back. So I was like, okay, bet. Let me shower, and then I'll let you know when you can call an Uber. So, because who the fuck wants to be around no. Who the fuck wants to be around anybody funky? So I was just like, I don't want to go around him smelly, Not that I'm dirty or anything, but it's just like, I take showers every day, and I didn't want to and I hadn't took a shower that day, and I didn't want to go over there, and then like he's like, ew, like she's dirty, like she stinks. So I took a shower, and then I let him know like, okay, you can call the Uber now. And he was like, all right, bet, it's on the way. And then so I get on Instagram, and eventually he texts me, and he was like, oh, it's 2 minutes. And I was like, okay. And then my heart fell to my ass, bro. So I'm sitting there waiting, and then here comes a white Tesla. I specifically remember Teslas, for some reason, they always like that's an instant, they always calculate in my head. So there's a white Tesla. So I get in, and the lady's like, hey, how are you doing tonight? And I'm like, I'm good. And she was like, this is pretty late to be out, or something like that, she said. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to see a friend. So we end up not talking for the rest of that ride or whatever. It was just quiet, which I'm fine with. Like, I don't want to be in the car with fucking Chatty Cathy or Chatty Christian. So I get there, and I'm telling him like, I'm outside. So where are you? And he comes to the door. Mind you, he has on like gray shorts and a wife beater, which is a tank top. If you don't know, it was a white tank top. So he comes outside, and then I tell the lady, like, you have a nice night. And I get out, and I go to his door, and he's like, damn, give me a hug. And so I did. And then we went in his house, and his house is like a 2-story house. So we go upstairs to his room, and I get in his bed, but I'm sitting like, his bed is really big. He has like a king size or queen size bed, but it's kind of like his frame, I don't know if his fucking frame was broken or what was about that, but his bed, like the top of it was kind of like slanted. And so I just sat like, here's the whole bed. I sat here at the end of the bed on the right side in the right corner. So he like, damn, why you like way over there? And I was like, what you mean? And he was like, you don't gotta sit off the bed. And I was like, I mean, like, it's my first time coming over here. Like, I don't know. And he was like, come over here. Like, you don't have to sit on the edge of the bed. So I'm like, okay. So I did, like, but I didn't like move closer to him. I just like laid beside him. So, and then I started laying on his chest, which he was fine with. So, we were just like watching. I think he ended up playing like funny Mike streaming videos or something like that. So we're watching that, and I'm like laughing because it's funny. So, and then he starts like kissing on my face, like he kissed my whole face, and I was just like, oh. So eventually he ends up kissing me on the lips, and we're like tongue kissing. So I'm like, okay. Wasn't expecting that, but whatever. So I just ended up like laying back on his chest or whatever. And then I forgot, I don't know if he got on top of me or if this is what happened first. But I end up like changing position, like this is the bed. Again, this is the bed. And this is me. So I'm laying like sprawled out across his bed, like on my stomach. So he gets behind me, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he was like, just relax. So I was like, okay, like, oh, I might have waited too late to say this, but for my boyfriend, if you see this video, please skip. Do not watch this, because I know you're gonna get mad. Not because he's like jealous or anything, but it's just like, I told him this dude did me wrong and why and what happened, so he doesn't like him. And mind you, my boyfriend goes to, okay, that's not fucking important, whatever. So he gets behind me, and he starts like caressing my butt, like moving his hands like this across my butt. And so I'm just laughing, and eventually I start recording him because I was gonna send it to my group chat. Hey group chat, if y'all watching this, what's up? What's up, gang? They'll probably never see this shit because they don't know I got a YouTube channel. I don't know why the fuck I'm even making this video. Okay, whatever. So he's just doing that for maybe like 5 to 10 minutes. So I end up sending the video to my group chat, and they were like, oh, he trying to, and I was like, that's not happening. Like, we're not doing that, because mind you, I'm a virgin. So I'm like, that's not happening. So eventually he pulls my pants like semi down, like right past my butt, and he again starts caressing my butt. So, and he saw me recording him, and he didn't like flinch or be like, what you doing, what you doing? But anyway, so he's doing that, and then he's like, get up. And I was like, for what? And he was like, just get up real quick. So I got up, like I stood up off of the bed, and he was like, nah, lay back down. I said, so why'd you tell me to get up? So he was like, stay on the bed but like get up. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Do you want me to stand up or sit down? So he was like, nah, like arch it. And I was like, what? So I did, and then he's like this behind me. Like he grabs my hips and he starts like basically pushing himself onto me, but we still have our clothes on. So basically like dry humping. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he was like, just relax. So he's doing that, and then eventually he like pulls my pants all the way down, and then he just like he starts to like move back, and then I look back, and he's like rumbling through his dresser for something. I'm like I'm like, what is he doing? And I need to get to the point of the fucking story because this shit already 10 minutes. But he didn't answer me, so he proceeds to pull out what I believe is a condom. I don't know if you can say that on YouTube, but yeah, and he like, I say I believe because it was fucking dark as fuck. The only light on in there was his TV, which I think he did on purpose. Because if he really didn't want to do nothing, you would have had the fucking light on. But anyways, so he ends up like putting it on, and then he tries to like put it in me, and I'm like that shit by far 9 out of 10 pain. Like I was genuinely in pain, and he was like, and I was like clenching, and he was like stop. And I'm like, I can't, that hurts. And he was like, just relax. And I was like, okay, I'll try. So eventually he like gets something, and maybe like this much, mind you, he has a big, it's maybe like 7 or 8 inches, but he has a lot of girth, so that I think that's why it hurts so much. But so we start, and I end up like playing music on my phone or whatever. Like I found like a quick, Demon Time playlist, and I played it. So we're doing it, and so I start making noise, and he's just like, shh. And I'm like, I can't. So anyways, after that, it whatever. It was good, I can't lie. So anyways, after that, we were cuddling for a bit. I forgot how long it was, because honestly, like I just got off my phone and like was watching TV with him. So he ends up being like, okay, I'm gonna call your Uber. And I was like, why? And he was like, because I got work in the morning, and you can't stay here because my mama gonna be tripping. So I was like, okay, go ahead. So he calls my Uber, and he says something like, oh, I'm not gonna keep doing this, or some shit like that, something, I don't know. So I was just like, okay. I didn't really say anything. So he calls my Uber. When the Uber comes, he like walks me downstairs, and I'm like, give me a kiss. He was like, I'm not a kisser. So I was like, okay. So I'm walking to the Uber. If you do this shit, we can't be cool. So before I even, like, as soon as I step foot on the sidewalk, he closes the door and goes back in the house. So I get in the Uber, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you didn't even check to see it. Like, I didn't say anything to him or call him or text him. But, like, in my head, I'm like, you didn't even make sure I got in the Uber. Like, somebody could have fucking came out of the bushes and snatched me up and put chloroform over my mouth, and you didn't even make sure I got in the fucking Uber safe. So, mind you, I get home, I end up telling my group chat what happened, and they're like, what? Oh my gosh. So, anyways, I end up going to sleep. Mind you, he doesn't text me that night or like say, hey, did you make it home safe? Are you okay? you know, I hope you had a good time. Nothing like that, right? So, I forgot. I don't know if we talked like after that or had any conversations or anything like that. So I end up seeing him again on what was it, like May 10th. I specifically remember all of these just for the purpose of these videos. So I end up seeing him again. I don't remember if he had his car by then, or no, he definitely called me an Uber. He didn't have his car by then. So we see each other again, and mind you, we saw each other like another time after this in April again, but there's nothing to really tell about that. So he calls me an Uber that night, and I go over there again. Same routine. So we end up doing it, and afterwards, like right afterwards, like right after he got finished, he's like, okay, I'm gonna call your Uber. And I was like, okay. And so he was like, oh, I'm not gonna keep paying for Ubers. This shit costs a lot of money. Like, you have to start finding your way over here, and don't keep double texting me. I don't like that shit. So I'm like, okay, I can see where this is gonna become a problem. So I end up being like, why are you being so weird? Like, why are you now acting like it's a problem when you're the one who offered to Uber me? Like, you were the one saying we should chill and all of that. Like, so he calls my Uber. I end up going home, and I don't talk to him. Like, I don't talk to him. So yeah. So then we end up seeing each other again recently. This was like 2 days ago. And he's trying to get me to do stuff with him, but I was like, no, like, I just came over here to chill. And he was like, oh, I never said we was chilling. We can chill another time. So I was like, and then he was like, you're the one who said we was chilling. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So he's like, oh, I'm gonna take you home. And I was like, why? I thought we was gonna like chill or whatever. And he was like, yeah, bro, but you tripping. Like, because I got up and I put my hands on him, which is a disclaimer. I do not condone domestic violence. But anyway, and I put my hands on him because he was being like super disrespectful. Like, I pushed him or something like that. And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna take you home. And I was like, okay, like, I don't care. I'll go home. And so we're like arguing back and forth. And so we end up going outside, and we're in his driveway arguing for maybe like 30 minutes to an hour. And he's like, bro, you acting like you want to go home. I'm going to call my mom and tell her to make you leave. And I was like, I don't give a fuck. So, and he was like, you don't want to go home? Who doesn't want to go home? Like, I'm trying to take you home. And I was like, I don't want to ride with you. I don't want to breathe the same air as you. I don't want to look at you. I don't want to see you. I don't want to talk to you. So I'm just going to call me an Uber. And he was like, you don't have money for an Uber. I said, you don't know what I have. And he was like, well, if you're going to call you an Uber, then you need to go down that street. And he points to the street that's like right next to his house. So, mind you, there's no lights down that street. It's dark as fuck. And he was like, bruh, I'm really trying to take you home because I care about people. Like, I don't, I'm just trying to get you home safe. And I was like, okay, finally. So I'm like pushing him or whatever. I'm pushing him up against the car. So he starts doing this to me. And he's like, bro, what you doing? Like, get away from me. And so I keep like walking up on him. And so he was like he backhanded my chest, and he was like, bro, I don't even hit females, but you tripping, like, get the fuck away from me. And I'm like trying to open his like driver seat car door. And he was like, bro, what you doing? Stop touching my car. And I was like, I'm trying to tell you to get in the car. He was like, no, you get in the car. And then he was like, bro, if you don't get in the car, by the time I get to the door, I'm going in the house. I'm not coming back out, so you're going to have to figure it out. And I said, so you're just going to leave me stranded? He said, you're acting like you don't want to go home. So finally, I got in the car. And so I'm just like, I'm blocking you on everything. Like, I never want to talk to you again. He was like, okay, that's cool. You're not the only fish in the sea. And so I was like, you literally took my virginity. Like, you took advantage of me. And he was like, I took a lot of girls' virginities. You're not the only one. So, we arrive at my house, and I'm like, I never want to see you again. Like, don't talk to me. And I just sat in the car, and he's like, what you doing? Get out, you home. And I was like, oh, I'm blocking you right now. And he was like, you can do that in your house. So I'm not getting out of the car. So he gets out of the car, and he's like, okay, let me see. See these bracelets? So he grabs my wrist, and he's pulling me by my arm, and he's pulling my bracelets too. Mind you, these two are metal. So that shit is hurting. When I say hurting, I mean hurting. Like, it felt like I had, like, slit my wrist. So I'm like, stop doing that, you're hurting me. And he's like, I don't give a fuck, get out of my car. Get out of my car before I blow my horn and make your mom wake up and tell you to get out. So I was like, she's asleep. And he was like, I'm gonna wake her up, I'm gonna blow the horn, I'm gonna keep blowing the horn. And so I was like, get off me, that hurts. And then my bracelets ended up coming off. So I'm holding them in my hand, and he was like, you weird, bro. So he just like he speeds off hella fast after he pulls me out of the, like, literally pulls me out of the car. He speeds off hella fast, like, with his fucking door open. So I go, and I'm like, okay, let me check the mailbox. And I have like a shaky ass voice, so I can already tell, like, damn, I'm gonna cry. So I checked the mailbox, and I end up having to knock on the door because it was fucking locked. So I placed the mail on, there's this little table we have in our hallway. So I placed the mail there, and I go in my room, and I literally start sobbing, and I'm crying for maybe like 5 minutes. Like, I was just sobbing, and I was holding this while crying. So I was just sobbing. By this time, I had already blocked him on everything, but I unblocked his number, and I'm like, you're a fucking loser, like, you're a piece of shit. I wish you all the worst in life. I hope to never see you again. Generally, don't ever try to talk to me. If you ever run across any of my social media profiles, please do not bother me. Do not ever bother talking to me again. I never want to see you or talk to you or anything ever again. So I send a message, and then I block him again. So I did that on purpose because honestly, there's nothing you can really say except, like, get the fuck off my phone, or I don't care, or something. So he basically, like, treated me like a slut whore. And I told him, like, you're treating me like a whore. And he was like, bro, you're not a whore, you're a human being. I said, you're not acting like it. But anyways, yeah, that's the story of my worst and only sneaking link ever. I really hope you guys enjoyed me sharing my trauma, and feel free to tell some of your stories in the comments if you're comfortable with that. If not, just like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on that notification bell. I love you guys. Bye.